I would like to ask you, what is the future of transatlantic relationship in the context of changing security dynamics?
No, thank you for that question. I think the future of the relationships will be strong and they'll be enduring over time. The problem for the alliance is going to be how to how to operate in conditions of constant competition that can move from below the level of armed conflict to above the level of armed conflict fairly rapidly. Moreover, given that all of this happens across various domains of activity like air, land, space, cyber, in the virtual world as well as the real world, we have to do a better job at coming up with an integrated response to any kind of aggression, because that aggression is now not just merely physical, it can be informational as well. And that, I think, is going, and overcoming that challenge is going to require at least three things. One, an ability to work in the narrative space and be able to counter false narratives as they arise, maybe even get ahead of it and get faster. We're going to have to look at ways, we're going to have to understand better how the more virtual domains of cyber, information, etc. operate, so that we can restrict the ability of anyone to promote disinformation. And then finally, I think we're going to have to understand that these aren't just military problems, but political and public ones as well.
I would also like to ask you about the Russian involvement in media or other actors' involvement in media investments and the way it manipulates media.
I'll be honest with you, I'm not much of an expert in this field. I tend to focus mostly on how it impacts political decisions and military and military options. But certainly they use a number of platforms. Are the publicly identifiable ones like RT and others. Others are the internet trolls that they use social media platforms for. So pretty much wherever there is a platform for information dissemination, there's a corresponding ability to exploit it.
In the context of the current Black Sea security evolution, how important is Romania for NATO and USA?
Of course, tremendously important. It's the southern flank. It's our southeastern flank. I would say that Romania is a critical member of the alliance. I think is well positioned, as evidenced by this conference, to help start solving kind of the problems that I was talking about before, that are changing the character of conflict. And I think Romania is taking some important steps that will help build the alliance or strengthen the alliance in that regard.
And how will AI control weapons change the face of warfare?
I do some work on artificial intelligence, and I think there's a couple of concerns here. One is artificial intelligence platforms can pose challenges for the laws of war and the norms associated with warfare. Because they're not accountable for their actions, their violations might go unaccounted for. Because they are machines, to the extent they actually make life and death decisions, making life and death decisions that affect people. So that, of course, makes us nervous about them. So one answer is, to answer your question more directly, let's have a convention banning them.
Yes.
The problem is not everyone's going to sign on to that convention. Now, in terms of keeping it from getting in the hands of enemies, I don't know how you do that. Information's out there. A lot of this technology is dual use, so it's developed in civilian centers that don't have much in the way of security. So it's easy to go find it and get it. It also gets into commercial and domestic applications, so it's easy to go out and get it. And so I don't think this is not technology you're going to restrict. I do not believe in the future. You might be able to govern its use, but you're not going to be able to stop it.